We're at the Mishnah on the bottom of Chaf Beis Amud Aleph. Kama Malkin, I say. We've been talking about the parak of Elohein Haloikin. These are the people who get Malkus. How many Malkus does he get? Aboim Chaser Achas. He gets 39, 40 minus 1. Shenemar B'misbar Arboim. The Torah says, let's see the pasuk. The pasuk says, "Vayim bin hakayser Rosh v'yibul hashayv yikalu fanav kedei rishasli b'misbar arboim yakenu liYosef." Ben Yosef hakayser alei lekama Makko rabba v'nikla chicha leinecha. We're going to go on these psukim over the next blot, but the Gemara yes, as we know in the Torah, when you get an ali, you see there's no safe pasuk. But this is really a safe pasuk. It's kedei rishasli b'misbar, and then it says arboim yakenu. But we darshan them together, and we say b'misbar arboim. Minyan chu samach la'arboim. Since the Torah puts the words misbar next to arboim, it means the number that's right next to arboim, which is 39. Yehuda Aimer arboim shleimus uleika. He gets 40 full malchus. Ve'hechen uleika es yesera. Where does he get the extra one? Meaning, as the Mishnah is about to say, you only give a malchus in sets of 3. A person, before he gets malchus, has to be evaluated by the Bezdin. I'm sure they use a doctor to tell them how many malchus the person can survive, and he always has to be in a divisible by 3. So it could be 3, 6, 9, 12. It can't be. He can't get 7 malchus. He can't say he gets 7 malchus. In that case, he'll only get 6. So the problem is, if you have 40, so the 40th is not part of a set of 3. And in addition, as we're going to see, that the Makkos are then divided up. There are 2/3 of them, right? We have 39. So 2/3 of them are going to be on his back, and 1/3 are going to be on his front, on his chest. So this one is sticking out. It's not going to be part of the 1/3 and the 2/3. It's not going to be a part of a set of 3. So where does it go? Where is it? Where is he going to get hit? Bank Seifa. That goes between his shoulders. It's not on his back and it's not on his chest, rather on his shoulders. He only gets Makkos that can be divided into 3, because like we're going to see, those thirds are going to be then divided 2 on the back and 1 on the front. Amdula Kabbalah Abayim, Beloika mixes, Lekabbalah Abayim, but throughout Shas, you often refer to the 39 Makkos. We're not paskening like the Mandam who says, like Rabbi Yehuda says, Abayim means actual 40. That's the way we refer to it. We're talking about it's Makkos Abayim. It means really 39. So I'm doing a Kabbalah Abayim, the Loika Mixus, and he got some of those 39 Makkos. And at that point they said, you know what? He already got 10. He got 9 malchus, or even 10 malchus, and they say he can't deal with any more. It's going to kill him. So if he gets any more, he's going to die. Potter. He doesn't. He's excused from the rest. You don't come back another day and give him the missing 29 malchus. Amdul lekabel shmoina esrei. If they said he can take 18, umishalaka amdu shiachlu lekabel abayim. But then they started giving him the malchus, and they looked at him, and after 18, it looked like nothing happened. He's fine. Potter. He's still Potter from getting any extra. So he's Potter in either case. I was going to see later on, the Gemara is going to say that once a person has the embarrassment of the mikla, that he had the embarrassment of getting part of the malchus, so he's excused from the rest of them. And also, once he got an assessment, an umdin of how much he can survive, that's his din, and it can't be extended, it can't be changed once he's received it. Saktima, my time. What's the reason that he only gets 39? If it would have said the other way around, the misper, instead of the misper abayim, it said abayim b'misper, then I would say it means the number of 40. It means a number that fills up 40. That means doesn't include 40, ad v'lo ad b'chlal. The mashmayis, the Gemara is saying the mashmayis of the order of Mispar Arbaim is the number that gets you to 40, which is 39. Amarava. Kamet Pshoy Shar Inchi, the Kaimi Makabi Sefer Torah, Veloi Kaimi Makabi Gavarava. Rava said people are foolish that they stand up in front of a Sefer Torah, but they don't stand up in front of a Talmud Chacham. Dila b'Sefer Torah Ksev Arbaim. In the Torah it says 40. V'asur Rabbanan b'Tzidai Batzru Chada. The Chacham came and took it down and took away one with this drasha. He says there's different ways of understanding it. Either look at the Kayach, the way I understood it originally, is that look at the Kayach of Talmidei Chachamim, that they can even change what's written in the Torah. So you certainly have to stand up for a Talmud Chacham. Or another pshat the Rishonim say is that you see the Rachmanis of the Talmidei Chachamim, that they were able to reduce the amount. Instead of every person getting 40, he only gets 39. If anyone ever went to a gym and you lifted a little bit of weights, you'll see if you do 40 times something, from the 39th to the 40th is harder than all the other ones combined. When you're up to your last one, each last one, when you get to the end, it's much harder. So it's not just one, it's a big deal. Each one is exponentially harder than the ones that come earlier. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Aboim Shleimus. Rabbi Yehuda says he has to get 40 in total. Amr Yitzchak, my time in Rabbi Yehuda, the Chsev, Maha Makkos Ben Yadecha. So there's two ways of understanding what this question is. I think the Rivan understands it, that they're asking what is the reason that Rabbi Yehuda says that the last one goes between his shoulders? Well, that's what we concluded, that it goes in between his shoulders. The other 39 go 2/3 on his back and 1/3 on his chest. Where do you get that this goes on his shoulders? He said, Maha Makkos elu ben yadecha, v'oimer asher kesi beis me ayavai. The pasuk says, what are these wounds that you have bein yadecha, between your arms, meaning on your shoulders? And he says that's what I got hit, beis me ayavai, from the house of those who love you. So we darshan that to mean the Sanhedrin. It's a reference, although it's really talking about the pasuk is talking about something else. We darshan it to mean that he was talking about that person gets Malkus from Beis Me'avai, that's Malkus that you get from Sanhedrin, and it goes Ben Yadecha. The Rabbanan say it's not talking about, if you want to darshan it, you should darshan it to be referring to the hits that a kid gets when he's learning. That means that's also Beis Me'avai. That's the house of my loved ones. And the teacher gives him a clap on his hands, or on his back, or by his shoulders. The Mishnah said you give him amount of makkos. The amount of makkos you give him are those that can be divided into thirds. And we said, but if they were aimed him to get a certain amount of malchus and he wasn't able to get them, if he's not able to do it, then you just he gets off. But so the mashmois is lock in loy lock aloy. The mashmois is only because he received some of the malchus and then he couldn't continue. Then he doesn't go. Then he doesn't. You don't change it. Raminu, but the Gemara says it sounds like from that if he didn't get malchus and they changed their minds and they said that he could get more, then they would up the umdana, up the estimation. Raminu amdu lekabel abayim. It says if they were aimed him that he could take 40, and then they changed their mind, they said he can't, he's potter. If they were aimed him to take 18, and then they said that he could take 40, he doesn't have to take the 40. So that's mashma, that if you change your mind, the first one was, we said, we were mashma that only if he already got the malchus, then he's potter if they change their minds. But if he didn't get the malchus yet and they changed their minds, you could change it. But over here we're saying that if they assessed him for 18 and then they changed their mind and said he could really do the full amount, they don't change the original assessment. So you have a stira. I think I may have restated it incorrectly in the first part. The first part was, we said, right? Right? We said that if he already got the Malkus, then they can't change it. That mashmoyis is, but if he didn't get the Malkus yet, then it could be, you could change it. You could change it from 18 to 40 if Bezdin changed their estimation. But over here we see clearly, the second brisa says that once he got an estimation for 18, it can't be increased.
What's the difference between the case of Amdullah Kabul Abarim or Amdullah Kabul Shmona Esrei? In both cases, he did not get Malchus yet?
Amdullah Kabul Abarim, v'chazru v'amdu she'en yachal Kabul Abarim. That's, so then, no, in both those cases, he didn't get anything yet. But if they decrease, the first case is they decreased how much he could take. So if they're saying he got a psak, and now you're saying you can't get it, so then he's potter. That you can't reduce his amount under any circumstance. The question
why aren't we thinking in this price that it's the same case where he actually already started getting Malchus?
We're not saying he didn't already get Malchus.
Why aren't we? How do we?
Because it's v'chazru v'amdu. It's not. In our mission, we said amdu l'kabel shmona mishalaka amdu sheyachalu l'kabel abayim. This is from v'chazru v'amdu. Different lashon.
Got it.
So Amar Sheish is like kasha. So the difference between the two prices can be explained. Hamdam duli yaimi. One is talking about a case they evaluated on that day, and then they made a second umdina on that same day. So that second umdina came up with a different result. So that nothing has changed in the facts. A person doesn't change within the same day. So clearly, the first umdina was incorrect. It was simply a factual mistake, and therefore it was invalid. And then we follow the second one. I don't know why we assume the second one is more valid than the first, but that's the way it is. But the case where we say they can't change the umdina is where they evaluated in one day, and on that day he could only take 18, and they evaluated him on the second day, and that day he could take 40. So that's a separate umdina. The first umdina was not invalid. It just the facts changed. He got stronger. So then, since it was a valid umdina, so we don't then invalidate it and allow it to be increased. So therefore we just disregard. So therefore he's going to be pot. Zak Gemara. Avar avera sheyesh ba shnei lavin. If it was over an avera that has two lavin in it, could be all kinds of averas that have two lavin involved in it. Like for example, we just saw a basa b'chalav. He eats some basa b'chalav. He can have three lavin. Amdu ayimid echad loika upata. Amdu ayimid echad loika upata. If they make an umdina, so he gets the malchus and he's pater on the rest. If they didn't make a single umdina for the two malchus, so then he gets one malchus and then he gets healed and he gets the second malchus. So mashmais of this is he gets as many as the first shot. The first part is if they made a single estimation of how many malchus he can make for the two lavin, and let's say they said he could get 10 or he could get 9, so he gets those 9 and he's pater on both of them. But if they made two separate umdinas for each lav, they treated it separately, then he'll get 9 for the first one, and then they'll make another umdina. Maybe he'll be able to get 9 again after he heals, or maybe he'll be able to take the full 39. We've said that you can't do one umdina for shnei lavin. It doesn't make any sense. If he did two lavin, why is he getting one umdina that he gets excused from the second malchus? He should get the separate umdina for each one. It depends on whether he's able to get more than a full set of malchus. It doesn't mean that they had actually two separate umdinas for the different lab. It means if they made an umdina and he can only get 41, so 41, you have to reduce it to the lowest multiple of 3. So that would be the most he could take is 39. So he's not getting anything extra over the single set of malchus that he's supposed to get 2. So in that case, we're going to say he has to be misrapa and evaluated again. But if they evaluated him, they could take 42. So then you give him 39 for one and 3 for the other. So then you lump it all together, and he only gets a total of 42 in one shot. Kates and Malkin, I say. How is the procedure of Malchus done? They tie his hands around the post on each side. He wraps his arm around the post, and they tie him to it. Basically, handcuff him to the post. The chazan kneches is eiches bibgadav. The guy, the person who's the administrator, the person running things in the court, grabs his clothing and niframu. He opens it. If it rips, it rips. If it tears, it tears. Achu magalas liba, until he uncovers his chest, meaning both his front, his chest, and his back. But Evan is sooner mechayrev. They place a stone behind where the guilty man is standing. Chazan HaKnesses, Ibn Love. The Chazan HaKnesses, this is the guy who's running things, stands on top of it. Rutzua biyadei shel egel kfula. And he was holding in his hand a calfskin strap. Echad l'shnayim v'shnayim la'arba. Fula echad l'shnayim v'shnayim la'arba was folded over twice, and first into 2 and then 2 into 4, meaning he folded it over twice in length. Let's say it was 6, it needed a 6-foot strap or a 4-foot strap. We'll see, it's a question of how long. So we'd get a 16-foot strap and folded it over 4 times so that it was down to 4 feet. Ushtei ritzuas shel chamar oilis v'yalderspa, and there were addition to the main body of the strap made of calfskin. It was also had some donkey hide that was woven in around it. Tefach, yada tefach, the handle of this ritzua was 1 tefach, urchava tefach, and the width of the ritzua, of the actual leather, was a tefach. V'roisha magas al pi kreisa. And when he would whip him, the head of the whip would have to reach his stomach. That means when he was standing behind him, so when he had to whip on his chest, it would be long enough that the tip of the whip would reach his stomach. Makkos says shlishma lefanav v'shtei yadas malachav. He would whip him 1/3 on his front and 2/3 on his back. The person who was being whipped would not sit down, nor would he stand up, but he would lean over. The shayfet would fall down on him. He would be mappaldi. He would hit downward onto him. The Chazan HaKnesses that was doing the hitting would hit him with one hand with all of his strength. Then there was someone who was given the task that they had to make a special kriya, they had to read psukim at the same time. Now the Gra has 2 different versions of the psukim. So one is Mleitish Malata Pila Shemes Makkaischa Es Makkos B'Chayzel Etchilas HaMikra. He'd read these 2 psukim, which are Mleitish Malasis and then Pila Shemes Makkaischa Es Makkos. And then after he finished those 2 psukim, he would go back to the beginning. The Gra says there's a different shot that takes out these words B'Chayzel Etchilas HaMikra, and there's another 2 psukim that the Mishnah brings. V'Shmatim Es Divrei Abris HaZois B'Chaysim. He says that these 2 other psukim, and then after he says the 4 psukim, he returns to the beginning. So according to this first pshat, you say you take out both of these 2 psukim at the end, or else you take out the words in the middle, and it's referring to all 4 psukim are reviewed. But in any case, this is what's being read as he's being whipped. If the person who's being whipped died, the person who whipped him does not go into galus, like we saw before. He's doing a mitzvah. Someone who's doing a mitzvah is pater from galus, they're killing someone b'shayv. If he hit him an extra whip, then he gets galus because that's not part of what he was instructed to do. This kalkal bein berei bein b'mayim potter. If a person soils himself either by defecation or with mayim, with urination, he's potter. The Rivon says he's potter because it says v'nikla b'harei nikla, which is going to be important to understand in Gemara. Yehuda Aimer ish berei, which means v'nikla, the person is embarrassed and he was humiliated by what happened. Yehuda Aimer ish berei v'isha b'mayim. Yehuda says men have a higher level of tolerance for being embarrassed. For them, it's only berei. But a woman, even just b'mayim, it's enough for her to be. That's a big enough embarrassment to excuse her from further malchus. The reason because the Pasuk says the Rishonim will talk about what is that referring to the whole Mishnah, but l'chayr, from the fact that the Rivana only mentioned this pasuk on that last part, it sounds like the Gemara is just continuing from the end of the Mishnah. The Mishnah had ended off with a person is potter if he soils himself. So l'chayr, this is giving the reason for that, because the Torah says b'nikla that he gets humiliated, so that's sufficient humiliation. How do we know that the ritzua has to be made out of calfskin? The siv you should hit him with 40 the samachle, and right next to it says you should muzzle an ox. So since we mentioned an ox right next to the din of Makkos, we learn that the Makkos has to be given with an ox's or a cow's skin. How do we know that if a Yavama is neifel to Yibam and her brother-in-law that she's being neifel to is disgusting because he has shchin, he has some kind of a skin disease, that you don't stop her from protesting. Generally, the rule is that a Yavam can be Yavam Anisha against her will. But if he's a mukashchin, if she has a legitimate reason why she doesn't want him to be Yavam, we don't muzzle her. We allow her to say, I'm not interested in marrying him. Since L'Sachsham Sharbadisha is next to the din of Yibam, that tells you can't muzzle a woman who doesn't want to have a Yibam for a legitimate reason. Whoever makes derogatory statements about the Mayadim, it's as if he was Ovid Avodah Zarah, which is a reference to Avodah Zarah. Don't make false idols. The Samachle is Chag HaMatzos Tishma. You should watch Chag HaMatzos. So if you're not showing Chag HaMatzos, you're Mevazit. It's like you're Ovid Avodah Zarah. Kol HaMesaper Lashon Hara, Kol HaMekabel Lashon Hara, someone who says Lashon Hara and someone who accepts Lashon Hara, Kol HaMeid Eidos Sheker, and someone who says false Eidos. Roy Lashlicha Leklavim. He's roy to be thrown to the dog. We say about an avela lekelev tashlicha naisai. The sabachle leisisa shema shav. You shouldn't say something that's shmi shav is something that's false about someone. Meaning, you shouldn't say lashon hara, and you shouldn't accept when someone tells you something false about someone. Kari beinami loisasia. You shouldn't. In addition, you shouldn't be the one to say it. And the end of that pasuk is Zion. The end of that pasuk is talking about a false aid. So we see all three things: not saying lashon hara, not accepting lashon hara, and not being a false aid. He's roy, and it's next to Kelev, so it tells you he's roy to be thrown to the dogs. So instead of shtei ritzuas, we had two ritzuas. We had the two ritzuas of chamor skin that was mixed in with the calf skin that was used for the whip. Tanash chamor kedarish hahu glila, like this person from Galil learned. Allah the Reb Chizda yadashar kaneyu v'chamar avesbal. The pasuk says a shar knows who his owner is, and the chamar knows the trough that his owner provides for him. Yisrael yada. The Rebbe is complaining the Yidden don't know that I'm the one who's providing for them. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Yav Misha Makar Avos Bailov. The one who knows the Chamar and possibly the Shar as well is referenced in that pasuk. So they both know who their owner is. The Yifra Mimi She'ena Makar Avos Bailov. This person who is Mechuyev Malkus and doesn't know that the Rebbeinu Shalom is the one who provides everything for him, and therefore he's doing Averis. We use a whip made from their skins to whip him. So we say Yoda Tefach. The handle was a tefach, and the width of the whip was also a tefach. And we said that it would be long enough that it could reach the stomach of the person who was being whipped. So you see, you had to have a custom-made whip for each person because it said when you would whip him, it would have to reach his stomach. So, if you go around, you see some people have much bigger stomachs than others. He said, if that's the case, Bez is going to have a massive collection of whips in order to be able to accommodate everyone. There was a knot in the whip. And if they had to shorten it, they would tighten the knot. And if they wanted to lengthen the whip, they would loosen the knot. So he said, Malkin Oisai, he would lean over and they would meet Malka him. Minoani Mili, Amakram, Vivila Shafi, Kola Funav, Kedei Rishasa, Bemishper Shachas, Melfanav, Shtei Rishus Meachayrav. Sorry, this is that the Mishnah said that he gets one in front and two in the back. From each set of three, he gets a total of 13 in front and 26 in back. So we say, because the pasuk says, "V'pilu ha'shayfet v'kol lefanov," he gives him a hit in front of him. Kedei rishasai, kafi his risha, that's one, and then b'mispar is two. Mispar is a count, so you have to have more than one in order to count. So that's two. Rishachas mufanov shtei rishus me'achar. In Malkin I say, Amar Rav Chizda Amar Rav Yechon, minayin l'ritzua shehi muchfelas. How do we know that the ritzua was doubled over? Shenem v'efila, which we darshan to mean similar to v'chfilai, that it's doubled over. In fact, the marva mi ba'ile legufa. We said we already used that the pilai, that the shliach bezdin stands on a rock that makes him higher, and he bends over and he hits him bending down. Imken kra lichtav kra yito. Let the pasuk just say that he leans over. What does it say? He pilai shma minotarti. That's to tell you both of them. Hamaka maka biyadai. We said that the person, the shliach bezdin, hits him with his hand. Tanaraban ein mamidin chazanin el chasirei kayach v'yasirei mada. These shlichei bezdin that do the malchus, they can't be very strong, and they have to be very wise. It could be no, we don't feel bad. The Torah, like the Mishnah says, you hit him as hard as you can, and just like you hit him, he's supposed to hit him as hard as he can. He could be as strong as he is. It doesn't make a difference, and he doesn't have to be wise. Amar Rava, Kavasa de Yehuda Mistavra. Yilchai Rabbi Yehuda is right. Yosef pen Yosef. The pasuk says, "Aboy me'akanu." You should hit him 40 malchus lo Yosef, and you shouldn't give him any extra pen Yosef la'akaisai alayla makaraba, because maybe you'll come to hit him more than this, a great amount. And it's going to be very embarrassing for him that he's going to have to get more than he was supposed to get. So Yamrit Yiseri, if Yamrit Yiseri Ma'ad Bitzarach, I'm sorry, I skipped. If he's someone who's not that bright, so that's why they have to remind him not to go extra. If we're saying that he has to be a wise person, what does he need? He knows the halacha that it's only 39. So what do you have to warn him for? And like we said, there was someone counting as he was going along. Rabbanan in mezars and el mezars. The Rabbanan who disagree, they say no. You need both. First of all, he needs to be smart, and your mezarism, you remind him it's still a good idea. It's important that he not go over, and we want both a belt and suspenders approach. When he picks up his hand to whip, he picks it up with both of his hands. He hits with one hand. in order to give him the most leverage. It's much easier to hit hard with one hand than with two. Kaira, like we said in the Mishnah, at the same time a person was reading these psukim, Tanaban, Hagadav She'adun Kaira. The greatest of the Yanim is the one who does the Kriya. Hasheni Maina, the second most chashiv, counts along with the person who's doing the whipping. Bashli, and obviously the person himself is also counting, the person doing the whipping, because we said we're mizarazim. Bashli She'aimer Hiko. And there's a third one who says, who would make the announcement, just like, by the Tekiah Shofar. You say Tekiah. So there's one guy who said, hit him. Bizman shemaka meruba ma'arif, bizman shemaka mu'etes mekatzer. If it's a guy who's getting more malchus, 40 malchus, then you stretch out the words so that it should end together with the malchus. And when it's fewer malchus, then you are mekatzer the words. In fact, why are we saying that he has to be ma'arachet? If it's long, we said he just starts from the beginning and does it as many times as he have to. So the reason is because he has to end together with the makas. He should try to end it together with the last makkah, but if not, he goes back to the beginning and he finishes it off. He always has to finish off together with the end of the makas. Tanarabam, makkah rabba. We had said in the pasuk, Arboim Yakenu, he should hit him 40. Lo Yosef, he shouldn't add Pen Yosef Lakoise Al Eila Makaraba, because maybe he'll come to add a lot of extra makas. Eli Ela Makaraba, Makwa. How do we know that he's only not allowed to do a lot of extra makas? And maybe if he does 2 or 3 extras, that's okay. Tamaloima Yosef, he shouldn't increase. Imke Matamaloima Makaraba. If it says Lo Yosef that he can't add any more, what is it saying? The pasuk saying maybe he'll add a lot of extra makas. So Gemara said no. Leave it al rishayna shein makarab. It's not coming to say that he'll add on another makarab. It's saying he already got a makaraba. The actual 39 malachas themselves are a very difficult thing to deal with. So you shouldn't be moisef on the makaraba that he already got. So we said niskalkal. If the person soiled himself, there's a machlokes. One man Dama says if he Bain be was it berei or bain b'mayim they're potter. And the other one said only a man is only a woman is freed even just with mayim. Tanaban echad ish v'echad isha berei v'loy b'mayim. Divri Remeir. We learned in a brayso. So Remeir says both a man and a woman go out with the rei and not mayim. Yehuda imer ish berei v'isha b'mayim. B'chamim echad ish v'echad isha bain berei bain b'mayim. So this l'chayra Rabbi Yehuda is shver. Rabbi Yehuda aimer ish berei va'isha b'mayim. V'atani Yehuda aimer echad ish v'echad isha berei. Well, we have a brayso. I'm sorry. This is the same as our Mishnah, right? Our Mishnah had said the same thing. This brayso says the same thing. V'atani Yehuda aimer echad ish v'echad isha berei. We have a second brayso that says both the man and the woman go out with rei. It's mashma that not with mayim. Even a woman doesn't go out with mayim. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak shneim shavim berei. He didn't mean to say that that's the only case that they go out. He wanted to say that they both go out with rei, but einachanami, a woman will also go out just with mayim. Amar Shmuel kafsua v'ratz mi bezdin. If they tied him up to do the makkos and he ran away from bezdin potter, they don't bring him back. Because, and the Rishonim explained, because he already got the humiliation of being about to be whipped, and he ran away. The running away itself is humiliating, so he won this one. He gets away with it. Meisvei, kala, if someone soiled themselves, bein b'rishayna, bein b'shniya, paitun I say, whether it was before the first one or before the second one, we pater him again because he embarrassed himself. Nifsaka ritzua, but if the strap broke, b'shniya paitronisa, b'rishayna ein paitronisa. If it's before the first one that the strap broke, as they bring it down, it broke. So he never got the first malchus. So he never got the bizayin of getting any malchus. So they get a new strap and they start from the beginning. But once he got one strap, he's potter. Amai. Lahavi karats. Why is it any different than someone who runs away? Running away itself is embarrassing. He looks like a coward. So that's the humiliation that patters him from any further malchus. If they made a umdana that as soon as he's going to get malchus, he's going to soil himself. Kala malkin, I said. But if they say after he gets the whole malchus, he's going to be mevayish himself, then they give him the malchus because that's not part of the malchus. It's afterwards. Even if he relieved himself prior to the Rishonim explained that it's talking about where this is prior to where they even raised the strap on him. So he got no part. They didn't even start to do anything. So before they made an umdana that he's going to, as soon as he's about to get the strap, he's going to fulfill himself. He'll be potter. This person, as soon as he saw this, even before he saw anything, from fear he soiled himself. He's going to get the malchus. It says it's it has to be that he first got hit and then he got killian, but not. It can't be that he got first. This is explaining why if he got the whole malchus and then he was nikla, that he still gets the malchus, even if they were aimed, that's going to happen. Not that he got the malchus and then he was nikla. That doesn't excuse him. Okay, we'll stop over here, and that's Hashem. Looking forward to seeing him tomorrow.
Bottom line in that last price up. So if